talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What is happening? What's shaking in your world? Hope you're having a good one. Tonight, let me tell you about the Frisbee. Actually, way more interesting than you might think. That's not saying much, but it's probably way more interesting than you might think. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. All those free things, man, just takes a second, just takes a click. You can subscribe. You never have to come back. It helps me out with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, in addition to, as well, we got those super chats. We've got those memberships. Speaking of super chats, Gilman, right out of the gate, $4.99. Thank you for starting on time. Well, you're welcome. I consider it a courtesy to you, the 6 people that listen to my program, to start on time. A lot of shows don't. Yes, they have good content, but they don't start on time. Can you imagine how it would be if I made you wait for this? Please. Anyway, Gilman, thank you so much. And of course, as always, that will entitle you to the point. Yes, the point. I got a surprise for you guys in just a couple seconds here, too. A surprise. It'll be a surprise. But thank you, Gilman. You're the first person to donate in a month of Sundays. So anyway, like I was saying. All right. Let's get to something. Oh, and also say super chat, and then also down. Whoops, I got to put the thing up. Down here in the begging bar, we have the details, the deets, the kids are calling it, on how to sign up for gifted memberships. A lot of very generous people gift memberships to the show. They just give them to people out of the goodness of their heart. Makes them look cool. Makes them look like, hey, nobody goes without a membership when I'm in town. All right, you need a steak. That's what it makes you look like. So do it. And you might experience euphoria. I don't know. Let me see here. Now, before I get to your comments, I got a surprise. StreamYard, and thank you again, Gilman. StreamYard, in its constant effort to bring me and you the highest quality programming known to mankind, they have developed a beta thing. And I don't mean beta like I'm an alpha and you're a beta. I mean, apparently this is experimental. What's it say here with the question? Chat overlay lets you display live comments directly on your stream. Please note that some platforms like Twitch may have specific guidelines limiting the display of comments from other destinations. So make sure to review their policies to stay compliant. Hey, stay compliant out there, everybody. Anyway, so I'm going to do this now. Now, when I saw this, I thought to myself, I says, you think I'm going to let people wander into this chat and just be able to see their comments displayed on screen? I'd get some, I think what the kids are calling zesty comments on here. But I don't know what it looks like or how it works until, of course, I use it. So, without further ado, and I'm going to turn it off right after this because I don't want none of that smoke. Sorry, I'm full of jargon today. I was around some Gen Zers. And why? Well, because I've got that Riz. All right, here we go. Let's see if it does it. Comments take the stage. Live comments from viewers will appear on screen, blah, blah, blah. I know. Let me put a comment up and see if it does the thing. Hi. Oh, look how microscopic those comments are. Look at that. Why would I want that on the screen? They're absolutely tiny. You got to get one of those Sherlock Holmes, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not doing that. Now, if it let me make them bigger, I might. It's so small you can keep it up. Tim, I wish that's the first time someone had said that to me. Let's see here. I'm taking that off of there. I want you guys to have the full big treatment of the comment. Our good friend Ken is here with his Ken, no offense, man. You're awesome and everything, but them eyes, man, you look like the devil, man. Anyway, Ken's here. He's got a thumbs up, which is, of course, obscured by the block there. Gilman is here. Of course, you knew that because Gilman was rolling large with the donations right out of the gate. Tim Jenkinson, man, he says, good evening. I hope you all had a good day. He's Timmy J from across the pond. Always good to see him. He says, hopefully everyone is hyped to learn about Frisbees. Oh, God, the things I'm gonna tell you about Frisbee. Tom, have you tried Frisbee golf? I have, and I'll tell you an interesting story about the swamps of Florida, a photographer, and excessive amounts of a controlled substance later on. Ken likes my background. This is my default background when I'm running late to do the show, and I don't want to make a special one. Terry Nee says, it's getting closer. It's getting closer all the time. Yeah, it's, let's see here. It's the 20th. So 10 days. 10 days until the Ruta Lee, Tom Gulley, posthumous Deanna Lund birthday. We'll have a special birthday show. I was perusing the back catalog. I got some catching up to do. Well, thank you for perusing our back catalog. Over 500 shows. I recommend the Lint program. Tim Jenkins says, is the surprise a golden Frisbee? I think golden Frisbee is a euphemism for things people do in San Francisco behind closed doors. Ken says, Frisbee makes a good bowl in a pinch. One time when I was camping, I ate cereal out of a Frisbee. I'm not joking. Cap'n Crunch. Terry Nee, our good friend and the most popular bird on the internet, says, happy birthday if I miss your special day. And he's been a member for a solid year. Terry, thank you so much. Always love it when you're in here. And you are so very generous, as you mentioned just a second. But Terry is a moderator. That means he's got a wrench on every other show on the internet. And many that hate me. Many shows that if I was to enter those shows, I would be, put in timeout for over 24 hours instantly by his fellow moderators. And the letters FTG would appear and just a huge scroll. But not Terry, not Terry Nee. Terry, if you miss my birthday, I'm going to be hurt. 1 year. Wow, I'm so generous. You are. Congratulations on your generosity, Terry. Scott LaRock is here. He says, so hip. Yes, I've got that Riz, of course. Thanks, Ken. It comes with great responsibility. Well, great. It's so small you can keep it up. Well, yeah. You can make it bigger, says Scott LaRock. Can I? Can I make it bigger? Let me see here. Comments. I don't see any places. I don't see any tools for me to do that. It's not on the banners page. It's not on my media assets page. Background music, all that. Style. Let's see style. The font. Use the default theme font. Default camera. Default. Private chat. Certainly not in the private. No, I don't see any ways to make that larger. Scott, I'm sorry, I don't see that. Fishman says, let me tell you about rizzing up the Gussie. Oh, God. High siding, fronting, the whole nine things. Thank you for your hard work, Tom. Thank you for thanking me for thanking you. Terry Nee with the 99-cent super sticker. There you go, Terry. You get the point, but not for long. Let's face it, it was only 99 cents. But I got to tell you, I don't mind a 99-cent super sticker. Terry does it to be funny and to insult me. And from Terry, yes, it does hurt. But from other people, no, that's fine. 99 cents, that's right. Terry Nee says, I would protect you, Tom. Me and Bob Levy. Well, Bob hasn't asked in a long time. I ran into a spell there. I think he asked 2 times when I was actually legitimately had stuff going on. And I had a spell there where I was busy when he was on in the morning. And he also has Granny on. And Granny and I, in the past, have certainly not gotten along. And also, and this is just the truth, I've experienced growth in my show since I, stopped subjecting to myself to absolutely unwarranted hatred. So I don't know, but I love Bob. Loves me some Bob Levy. Loves me some Bob Levy and Gina. Gilman says, and by the way, I have nothing for or against Granny. I just sort of return of service with Topspin. It's like, if you want to do stuff, well, I'm going to do stuff back. And that's, I think, the thing is, for a long time, I would just sort of take it and laugh. And then when I started to say things back, people got really bent out of shape. So it's, but whatever. Whatever, man. We're here now. Terry is a good mod. More than that, Terry is just funny. Just a funny guy. Ken says, I never would have guessed the Gulster has beefs. I don't really have beefs. Gilman says, Bob and Gina are the best. They are. They're wonderful people. They really are wonderful people. Very kind-hearted, very, they're good eggs. And in this day and age, that means they're very expensive. So, yeah, they're good folks. They're good folks. But I don't really particularly have beefs. There's people I associate with. There's people I don't associate with. You don't get along with everybody. But in terms of, I kind of am a reflection of how you treat me. I think most people are that way. But if you just want to say things, there's a lot of things in here. A lot. And so sometimes people say things and those things come out. It's like, oh, we're having unsolicited evaluation time. I'll play. Just be careful. Tim Jenkinson says, if you were stranded on an island, would you prefer to have a Frisbee or a boomerang? Ooh. I think I would prefer to have a boomerang, just because I think you could kill food with a boomerang, and I don't think you could kill food with a Frisbee. Nothing you'd want to eat anyway. All right. Hey, let me tell you about the Frisbee. And when we get to the Frisbee golf part, I'll tell you my story. Bob and Perry are good together in short doses. Yeah, I would agree, 100%, Gilman. If I start watching them, especially when Bob's over there gaslighting him, I laugh really hard for about a half an hour. And then at a certain point, it's not Bob, it's Perry. And it's not them, it's me. I'll admit, it's me. It's my deficiency. I can only handle a certain amount of screaming at the top of your lungs about nothing before the fleshy gristle in my ears goes, enough. Enough. Anyway, why don't you let me tell you about Michael Gardner. One more for the road. Kids playing with Frisbees nowadays, spoiled brats. When I was a kid in World War II, we had Frisbee as well. But they were called grenades, and we threw them at Nazis. Yeah, it was the original ultimate Frisbee. No such thing as Frisbee golf. Oh, but I beg to differ, Terry. It's very popular. It's very popular, and it's a fun sport. It's way more fun than regular golf, and you get to wear cooler clothes. Hey, why don't you let me tell you about the Frisbee here real quick? That's a world-class Frisbee there. Don't kid yourself. You think I'd open this thing up with just a regular dime store Frisbee? Please. The Frisbee, also known as a flying disc, or just a disc, is a gliding toy, for those of you in Wham-O, or a sports item. Usually in this really world of miracles that we live in, made of injection molded plastic, about 8 to 10 inches, depending upon how excited you are, and in diameter, and has a very distinct lip on the edge of the Frisbee. very distinct. The shape is an airfoil. I'm not joking. It's an airfoil. You know what an airfoil is? An airfoil is a streamlined body that generates significantly more lift than drag. Okay, so it's definitely not a drag. And that shape allows it to fly by reducing the drag, increasing the lift as it moves through the air, compared to that of just a flat plate. Okay? Spinning the discs, when you throw it, it spins. You know how it does that? When you throw it, it spins. Dude, you're not going to believe this, dude. When you spin the disc, it creates a stabilizing gyroscope. Oh, man, I didn't realize I was creating a stabilizing gyroscope. Anyway, that stabilizing gyroscope, however, is what actually allows you to aim the Frisbee with accuracy or throw it for a great difference. Difference, yes, but distance. There is a wide range of available Frisbee disc variants. Man, there's tons of them. Frisbee disc golf ones, they're smaller, but they're denser as compared to the Ultimate Frisbee discs. Ultimate Frisbee, which, by the way, is a very fun game. As long as you don't play it with people that are too into it. And those are tailored for flight, and they have profiles to increase or decrease the stability and distance. The longest recorded throw of a Frisbee, can you dig it? The longest recorded throw of a Frisbee is 1,109 feet. That's over 3 football fields. All right. There's another category called disc dog Frisbees. The dogs that jump up. There was one called Frisbee, the most famous one, I think. They use relatively slow flying discs made of a more pliable material to better resist the dog's bite and prevent injury to the dog, because you don't want to hurt the dog when it bites down on something really hard. Flying rings, which are not Frisbees, are also available, which go even further than a disc. They have illuminated discs, the ones that light up. Here, let's watch this cool guy out on the beach throw a Frisbee disc for a second. Come on. Be good to me, Daddy. Let's get this guy nice and big. Illuminated ones are made of phosphorescent plastic and contain chemiluminescent fluid or battery-powered LEDs, so you can play with these babies after dark. Others will whistle when they reach a certain velocity in flight. The term Frisbee is often used to generically describe all flying discs, but Frisbee is actually a registered trademark of the Wham-O toy company. Now, so it's a term like Kleenex. People use the term Kleenex very generically, but there is an actual Kleenex. This sort of copyrighted protection results in organized sports such as Ultimate Frisbee or disc golf having to not use the word Frisbee. So now it's called Ultimate Discs or whatever. Now, the history of the Frisbee, man, it's going to blow your mind. Look at all. That's a memorial Frisbee disc. That's an old school disc, Daddy-O, that because somebody died. That's the other thing about a Frisbee is you can print things on it. And that makes it so cool, dude. So, the history of the Frisbee is a little bit messed up. It's a little shady. And it's a little weird. But it is an American story of glory and success. These things were invented in the late 1930s by an inventor named Walter Frederick Morrison. Now, invented is kind of a being kind to Walter Term, as I'm going to tell you about here in a second, Morrison and his future wife, Lucille. Yes, I guess they were living in sin or something. In all of the accounts that I read about this, it said his future wife, Lucille. I guess she picked a fine time to leave him. 4 hungry kids and a crop in the field. Anybody? Kenny Rogers? Anybody? Anyway, he and his future wife, Lucille, were having some fun, as you do, tossing a popcorn can lid after a Thanksgiving Day dinner in 1937. They soon discovered a market for a light, what they call, sometimes these things make me laugh, a light-duty flying disc when they were offered 25 cents, which you're thinking 25 cents, who cares? That's $5 in today's money for a cake pan that they were tossing back and forth on a beach near Los Angeles. So they got the Jones, man. They got the Jones by tossing around this popcorn can lid. But then they started using a cake pan, and some poor soul said, hey, tossing that cake pan, that's for me, and offered him 25 cents for the cake pan. And in 2007, in an interview, some 70 years later, in an interview in the Virginian Pilot newspaper, Walter Frederick Morrison compared that with the 5 cents that the cake pan cost back then. He said, that got the wheels turning, because you could buy a cake pan for 5 cents, and if people were on the beach willing to pay a quarter for it, well, there's a business. That's what they thought back then. And yes, they talked that way. So the Morrisons continued buying cake pans for a nickel and selling them for a quarter. That's 5 times the profit. Until World War II. And that's when Walter went off and served in the Army Air Force, flying P-47s, and then, sadly, was a prisoner of war. And I'm just guessing, as a prisoner of war, his cake pan throwing days came to a temporary halt. But after the war, Walter sketched a design for an aerodynamically improved flying disc that he called the Whirlaway. The Whirlaway. I'm just going to sell these Whirlaways all over the place. So perhaps when he was in the Army Air Force, he got aerodynamics in his head, or perhaps when he was in the prisoner of war camp. Who knows? Whirlaway, by the way, was a famous racehorse of the time. So he and a business partner named Warren Francione, I'll just go ahead and pronounce it that way, began producing the first plastic discs by 1948, and they had some design modifications and experimentation to do with some prototypes, because, you know, this was 1948. The days of just buying a cake pan and selling it were over. I'm sorry. I was laughing when I wrote it. They renamed them the Flying Saucer. And that's also because in the late 40s, there was a huge rash of unidentified flying object or flying saucer sightings across the United States. So the Flying Saucer. And Morrison, in the same interview I mentioned earlier, said, we worked fairs demonstrating it. The two of them once overheard someone saying that the pair were using wires to make the discs hover. Well, of course, we all know that's not true. Well, that's poppycock. That's just pure poppycock. So what they did was they developed a sales pitch. The Flying Saucer is free, but the invisible wire is $1. And that $1948 is equivalent to $13 in 2024. That's where we learned we could sell these things, he said, because people were enthusiastic about the invisible wire. Yes, I got a free invisible wire. Here's another Frisbee to look at just to break up the boredom. Yeah, that's the official pro model, by the way, for those of you who won't accept an amateur Frisbee. Morrison and Francione ended their partnership in early 1950, and Morrison formed his own company in 1954 called American Trends to buy and sell flying saucers, which were being made of flexible polypropylene plastic by Southern California Plastics, the original molder of the Frisbee. He discovered that he could produce his own disc more cheaply, and he designed a new model in 1955 that he called the Pluto Platter. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the archetype of all modern flying discs. However, Walter got out of the business in 1957 when he sold the rights to Wham-O, the legendary cheap trinkety toy manufacturer. What do you think about that? In June of that year, Wham-O founders Richard Nurr and Arthur, I'm not making these names up, folks, Arthur Spud Mellon, who wouldn't go into business with that fella? Gave the disc the brand name Frisbee after learning college students were calling the Pluto Platter by that term, which was actually derived from the Connecticut-based pie manufacturer Frisbee Pie Company, a supplier of pies to Yale University, where students previously had started a campus craze tossing the empty pie tins stamped with the company's logo, just the same way that Morrison and his wife had way back there in 1937. So the name Frisbee actually comes from, look, folks, back in the day, what the hell is that noise? People did not have the money. You know, they didn't have the modern conveniences we had today. So tossing around a pie plate. What is that weird noise? Anyway, in 1957, oh, that's my shoes. In 1957, the Frisbee was featured in what may be the first rock musical ever performed. Anything and Everything, written by Ted Nelson. The game of Frisbee is described in the song Fritz Me and the Frisbee. No, Fritz Me the Frisbee, as the Frisbee was passed among stooges in the audience. The scene was expressly intended as a way to introduce the game to the audience. In 1964, Ed Hedrick was hired as Wham-O's general manager and vice president of marketing. Hedrick redesigned the Pluto Platter by reworking the mold, mainly to remove the names of the planets, but fortuitously increasing the rim thickness and the mass of the Frisbee in the process, creating a more comfortable disc that could be thrown with higher accuracy. Wham-O changed their marketing strategy to promote Frisbee as a new sport, and sales went through the roof. In 1965, the first professional model went on sale. Hedrick patented its design. It featured raised edges, the rings of Hedrick, they're known as in the business. That were claimed to stabilize the fight. You can see those rings here in this pro Frisbee that we have in front of us. What is going on with my mouse? Anyway, Hedrick became known as the father of Frisbee sports, and he founded the International Frisbee Association and appointed Dan Roddick as its head. He began establishing the North American Series tournament standards for various Frisbee sports, such as freestyle, guts, double disc court, and overall events. Hedrick later helped to develop the sport of disc golf, which was first played with Frisbees and later more aerodynamic beveled rim discs by inventing standardized targets called pole holes. pole holes. Here's a pole hole. You guys have seen these at parks. Basically a big pole with chains and a bowl at the bottom. Yeah. When Hendrik died, he was cremated, and his ashes, I'm not making this up, were molded into memorial discs and given to family and close friends, and sold to benefit the Ed Hedrick Memorial Museum. Jesus Christ. I'm going to get to your comments here in a second. In 1998, the Frisbee was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame, and long overdue, if you ask me. In addition, many championships have sprung up around the world, and the sport has become very popular, with 9-time champion Miguel Larranaga from Spain being the leading exponent of Frisbee throwing. Let's get to some of your comments, shall we? I'm just going to show this guy upside down doing his thing for getting his Frisbee on like you do. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Please do that. It only takes a click, just a little, and you just, because liking is so easy. And subscribing, man, you may think, I don't want to subscribe to this show. This guy's talking about Frisbees. Well, you just subscribe and never come back. You don't have to come back unless you see a show about lint or ingrown toenails or something that you're interested in. Land of the Giants last night, something TV show, or some of my guests, which I'm lining up some more guests. It doesn't cost you anything. It really helps me out with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful algorithm. Think what would have happened if William Morrison back in 1937 hadn't had people willing to buy a cake pan. Where would we be today? And we do have super chats and memberships. People have been very kind with the super chats today, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the show. Also, people gift memberships around here. Turn on those gifted memberships. Somebody may give you a membership. I think gifting memberships is the best way to support the show because you look so cool when you do it. Also, hey, guess what? Oh, was that yesterday? Yeah, doggone it. Yesterday was Mug Monday. 40% off of mugs in our show store. I don't know what today is. I think they sent me anything today about what today is. Hold on, let me see. Because you guys, the description for our merch store is, the link to it is in the description of this very program. Can you dig it? Get rid of that. Let me see. Sometimes they send me a thing that tells me what's the new. No, they didn't send me one today. Usually if you go to, that was yesterday. Mug Monday. I'm sorry. I meant to tell you about Mug Monday. Yeah, so just go to Cafe Press and I'm sure somewhere it'll tell you if there's any sales going on. Let's get your comments in here. Let's get your comments. Oh, God almighty. Fishman says that the Frisbee is known for its girth. Well, 8 to 10 inches. Gilman, thank you so much. Super sticker from Gilman for $1.99. Very, very generous of you. I much appreciate that, Gilman. Just a great supporter of the show. Michael Garner says, when you put it like that, you're making Frisbee enthusiasts seem like mindless dolts. No, they're not. I know a lot of people that Ultimate Disc, which used to be called Ultimate Frisbee, it's actually a very competitive sport. You got to be in shape for it, and there's strategy and everything else. Disc golf, also very competitive. Maybe the inventors were mindless, but no, a lot of cool people into Frisbee. You got to admit it's kind of funny. Ashes made into Frisbee. Mr. A. Kingard says people threw cake pans at each other, cast iron. Hopefully they weren't just made of a light grade aluminum. They were called light duty. Sorry, just tuning in. Maybe he used a cake pan to escape captivity. Maybe. Is that man going over the fence? No, it's just a cake pan. Don't be alarmed. Because cake was so popular in the prison camps. Ken says, let me tell you about Antarctic Nazis. Well, they had them. Goat says, need an episode about the 1940s UFO flap. I would, but that was just swamp gas. No, we do need to do a show about that. That's a good recommendation. UFO 40s. There we go. That's a good recommendation. Thank you, OV Warrior. Tim Jenkinson says, now I imagine UFOs are just giant cake pans. So they may be. We don't know. Shattered Dimension says, flying saucers is what they call it when I whip my gullies out and shake them all around. Do you do the hokey pokey with them? The legendary Doc Torn, I was just talking about him the other day, wondering what he's up to. Member for 10 months. He says 10 months of Cobra Kai. Everybody's wondering where you've been there, Doc Torn. We miss you. We miss you around here. Goat's more of a blammo guy, not a whammo guy, but a blammo. The wolf has arrived. He says, hello, folks. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, is verified by independent sources. People saying hi. The Doctorn is here in the house. People saying hi. Shattered Dimension says, that sound is Wham-O coming to silence Uncle Tom for speaking the truth. The truth is out there, Wham-O. Tim Jenkinson says, you've missed Spud Melon and the cake pans. Good old Spud Melon. Guys, I'd like you to meet Spud Melon. He's a real good time. He wears lampshades at parties after he's had a few scotches. Shattered Dimension says, oh, yeah, but I love a good pole hole. That's what they're called. No, Tim, I was rediscovering the use of terrifying phosphorus. Phosphorus is kind of terrifying. Tim says, did they spread his ashes when people threw the Frisbee? No, they took his ashes and they apparently incorporated them into the manufacture of a Frisbee, which to me seems a bit ghoulish. But what do I know? Hey, let the guy go out as he wants. Can you imagine if you had one of those Frisbees and you threw it and it got lost in the woods? Is the Wham-O company that made the Monster Magnet too? Well, I don't know, but we could do a show on Wham-O. That's a good, man, that's a Tom Gulley Show topic right there. Tomorrow night, Robert McNamara. The next night, the Bradford City Fire, which is horrifying. I don't know what they did with those ashes, but the Rings of Hedrick is a great band name. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Rings of Hedrick. Frisbees start flying all around. Error 404, comment not found. That's funny. That is funny. I dressed up at Halloween one time because I do. Oh, I'm frozen again. Well, we'll wait. It'll eventually catch up. I had just a T-shirt that said Error 404, costume not found. Teacup Tuesday. I hope not. I don't have any teacups for sale in that mausoleum. And I'm waiting on approval for 2 new designs that they're being real squirrely about. Tim Jenkinson says someone needs to make a movie about the history of Frisbee. Yeah, it can star Greg Kinnear or somebody. Tim Jenkinson says the question, who would play Spud Melon? Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill would play Spud Melon. Maybe Tom Hanks. No, Tom Hanks would play Ed Hedrick. Yeah. Probably Pedro Pascal. Why not? He plays everything else. Nicolas Cage would play Manuel Longaranga, whatever his name is. Let's see here. Wham-O, the world's greatest dangerous toy company. You got that right. E. Villain says, I learned everything I know about Frisbee history from Back to the Future 3. Me too. Me too. I learned everything I know about skateboarding from Back to the Future 1. I have Frisbee golfed a dozen times or so. Great excuse to neglect your family and do some J's. Ken, that will feature prominently in my ultimate disc story that I'm going to tell in just seconds. The Wolf says, wait, maybe Tyco was the world's greatest dangerous toy company. No, the company that made the radioactive, you can go to, let me tell you about Dangerous Toys. That's a past show. But the company that made the radioactive radiation kit toy, whoever they were, and then Mattel, you got to throw Mattel in there because they made the Susie Homemaker baking thing that would just burn you alive. It was an actual heated element in there. They also made creepy crawlers, which were pretty hot too, but then they finally had to make it just a hot light bulb. But when it first started, if you tried to, and I think it caught your hand in there too. I'm not sure. Ken said, you're frozen. I thought this was, let me tell you about ventriloquist. That's good. DuPont, says Michael Gardner, was the world's most dangerous toy company with their famous sulfide Susie doll. Well, you say so, man. Okay, let's get into some of these variations. Shall we? Shall we, please? I'm going to go ahead and show this one again. So, Ultimate Frisbee, which they now have to call Ultimate Disc because the Frisbee people had a big thing about it. Ultimate discs are designed to be used in the sport of what they now just call Ultimate. The sport is now just called Ultimate, which I think is a little reductive, but whatever. They're made of the durable plastic, usually polyethylene, and they're designed to be thrown for maximum distance and accuracy. Now, Ultimate has a unique standard with a diameter of 10 3/4 inches and a weight of 175 grams. For competitive uses, the WFDF or other official organizations set disc standards to ensure quality and, of course, competitive equality. You know, a lot of these guys juice up their Frisbees. They're roiding, okay? The Frisbee themselves have steroids in them. Now, another type of flying disc sport is the disc golf. And the disc golf disc is used, in disc golf. But the discs are similar in size and shape to Ultimate discs, but they have different weight and designs. The material used to make these is polypropylene. There are three main types of golf discs. I'm not making this up. Drivers, mid-range, and putters. And yes, they carry them in a bag or knapsack, like a backpack or whatever. Each type is designed for a specific purpose, as you couldn't tell by the names, with drivers being used for long-distance throws, mid-range for more controlled shots, and putters for short, accurate throws into the target. Why am I not showing that visual? The rim for golf discs are sharper than Ultimate Frisbee to reduce wind drag. And they can be sharper because Ultimate, you have to catch it. But in disc golf, you don't. Each type of disc golf has hundreds of variations. Subject to a uniform requirement in the size of the disc, the minimum diameter of a golf disc is 8.3 inches. Now, when I lived in Tampa, Florida, I made friends with this guy that was a photographer as I was working for a big ad agency. And this guy had this really great girlfriend, and they'd been going out for a long time. And that's sort of how I knew them. And she broke up with him, and he kind of went off the deep end. He really, one of those things where I think maybe they'd been together since high school. I mean, they'd been together for 10 years, and it was one of those relationships where you never saw one of them without the other one. And she worked for his photography studio. She managed all of the people coming in and out and equipment, and he was the artist. And so they break up. He was originally from Tampa, and he moves out. And one day I get this call from him. It had to have been 8 or 9 in the morning. He says, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm pretty good. What's going on? He goes, man, I'm kind of blue. I'm in my new place. I was kind of wondering if you'd like to get together today and just kind of hang out and, we can get some pizza or something and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. When do you want me to come by? He goes, well, right now would be good. It's like 8 a.m. Okay, fine. So I jumped in my Ford Bronco 2 4x4, and I've got an address. And this was back when you used MapQuest and you would print out the directions to a place because you didn't have, This was in 94. So I start driving to this place, which it tells me it's a pretty good drive. It was a 20 or 30 mile drive, but I didn't care, And as I drive, I'm getting more and more and more and more remote. And I'm on these roads, which are now dirt and sand. And I end up going by, all these places. I'm looking at mailboxes for the actual address. And I'm not passing many mailboxes. I just keep going back further and further and further. Cypress trees, swamp, water standing, gators. Yeah, I said it, gators. So I get to his place, and he's got this new place that's going to be his photo studio. And I pull in, and I was kind of impressed and also kind of weirded out because it was a big warehouse type thing. And I go in, I knock, hey, come on in, man. I go in because the front doors of the warehouse were kind of halfway open. And I go in, keep in mind, it's Tampa, it's hot, it's humid, and he's got these doors open. And I walk in, and to the left is a big warehouse with like photo studio stuff, lights, big light box, flashlights, lights that flash when you take the picture, and props and various things, and a tabletop for tabletop photography and all that stuff. And to the right is a refrigerator and a stove and a bed and a couch and a big screen. There's a rear projection TV. But it wasn't like there were walls or anything. And then there was a little closety looking thing in the corner, which had a shower and a toilet. But it was like an apartment or house furnished there with the stuff just open, out in the open. And I get there, and I'm trying to talk him out of it. I'm like, man, there's going to be another girl, and yeah, she was great, and well, we still got to stay together because she runs the business, and I see her every day. Just ripped my heart out. And I said, hey, man, look, let's get our minds off it. Let's do something. Now, while I'm talking to him, he's got a plastic, quart jug. Oh, it was bigger than that. Whatever's bigger than a quart of Calvert whiskey. And he's drinking out of it and intermittently smoking these giant marijuana cigarettes. And I'm just watching him here just pollute himself. And oh, man. I'm like, well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We could go get breakfast somewhere, I suppose. No, man, let's hang out here for a while. You want to play Frisbee golf? And I went, where are we going to do that? I got a course. And I started laughing. And he's like, what's the fun? No, I'll show you. We went out into the swampland outside this place because the whole place was on like this peninsula type thing. And I don't mean a peninsula that there's ocean. I mean a peninsula that is surrounded by swamp water and swamp and swampiness and cypress trees with the big moss hanging down and everything else. So we go outside. I turn to my right. I'll be darned if there's not one of these things sitting right there. It wasn't anchored in cement, but it was buried into the ground. I said, how many holes do you have? He's like, 9. I got a 9 hole. And for at least 5 hours, we played Frisbee golf while he's drinking and smoking. And you know what? it was a ton of fun for me. I actually enjoyed it. We started joking around. He was laughing at all my jokes because he drank a lot of whiskey. And that's how I learned to enjoy Frisbee golf. And he had these official kind of, things with the chains and the bowl in the bottom and everything else. And he was amazingly good at it. And he'd sit there and tell me, be like, yeah, so what you do on this one is you don't want to go for the hole right away. I know it feels like you should, but if you got to curve it around that tree, and if you do, and you go too far, it's into the swamp. You don't want to go in the swamp, man. There's alligators in there. So anyway, that's my Frisbee golf experience. We're going to get into freestyle disc here in just a second, and some of the other weird variations of Frisbee that you don't know about. Trust me, you don't know about them. Just like you don't know how to read comments from my chat that are as small as the ones that will eventually be appearing to the right. They're just tiny. Here, I'll even show you. These are tiny. See if it puts it up there. Yeah, look at those. Thank you, StreamYard, for creating this new thing that is completely unusable. Appreciate it. Anyway. Oh, God, there's a lot of comments here. Dangerous toy companies. Tim Jenkinson says it really should be in the Olympics. They have rap, so I might as well. Michael Garner says, kid nowadays in their Frisbees, spoiled brats. Yeah, back in my day we had Frisbees, but we called them ninja stars, and we used them to kill shoguns. Exactly. Brats. I knew that Frisbee was juicing because of the... Come on, man. Shattered Dimension says, I like my Frisbees like Comedy Shaman, like Comedy likes his women, roided up with a big diameter. Comedy Shaman. I don't even have a beef with him. Michael Garner says, I imagine the disc golf caddy sidling up to the disc golf driver and whispering about the strategy on the next. Yeah, I think you should go with the 5 ounce for this distance. Yeah, Michael, he would say that, except the smallest acceptable size is 8.3 ounces. So, like, duh. Michael Garner says, and when the game is over, everyone goes home to their disappointed girlfriends. Wolf says, Frisbees on hormone therapy? That means more brittle Frisbees. That could get out of control and hit you in the eye. It's called Frisbee rage. Oh, Doc Torn, thank you so much. He says, error 404, super chat not found. Doc Torn, we were talking day before yesterday about how much we missed you, and we hoped you're doing well. And I mentioned there'd been a lot of rain and bad weather through this part of the country, and that maybe you were busy doing that. But doggone it, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and by golly, people like you. So thank you for returning, and certainly thank you for the $5, and certainly you deserve the point for that, my man. There you go. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Just a click is all it takes. We desperately need that to help with the algorithm. Memberships, super chats, we love those. They help us pay the bills. And gift those memberships to a worthy person. It tells how to do that down in the crawl. But we really need to subscribe. Like I keep saying, subscribe and then never come back if you think it sucks. Just kind of keep it there. Show it to your friends and go, look at this. Doc Torn, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Ken says the shape determines the flight path, and they're designed to be aerodynamic at a specific speed, distance. I already told you, man. The spinning creates a stabilizing gyroscope, dude. I'm sure you heard that. The only bad thing about doing this show is that I'm doing it when that happens, so I can't go out and address it. But one day I'm gonna. The Wolf says, this Florida story sounds very suspicious. I don't know, Wolf. Tom did mention props. Kansas, we call those hog legs. I've heard them called hog legs before, and he was smoking a big old hog leg. Tim Jenkins says, Frisbee with gators. Now that's an extreme sport. Oh, there's gators all over. When I lived in Naples, I would get to work in the morning. The agency that I worked at was right next to the highway. So the highway was on this big berm, and so at the bottom there was always a canal of water, like there are along just about every road, street, or thoroughfare in Naples, Florida. You know, there's a giant ditch that's a canal. It's filled with water. When I would get to work in the morning, because I'd get there before everybody else, the gators, because it had been nighttime, would be on the parking lot tarmac, you know, on the asphalt or whatever it is, blacktop, because it would retain heat after the sun went down. So when I pulled in, there would be 5, 6, 7, 8 gators, not giant ones, not like 12 footers, but 5, 6, 7 footers, and sometimes smaller ones, just there, laying there, just absorbing the heat. And then I would pull in. I was driving an 86 Mercedes 300 SD turbo diesel. So it was loud, it was big and metal, and they would all just scatter back into the water. So yeah, gators, very common. I smell a conspiracy here. There's no conspiracy. Oh, I was doing that with the thing. Said that she did. I don't know what I said, but Tim Jenkins says you have to watch in a cinema to read those comments. Yeah, you really do. Tom's house is haunted. Not haunted. Haunted by extremely ultra-modern fast cars. It's not fast. It's not ultra-modern. Wolf has seen... I took pictures of this thing. Wolf has seen the pictures of this car. Not only... It's this Honda Genesis. Is that even a vehicle? It's got... like, one of the front ends of it has got this giant crack in it. You can tell where it's been pulled off and stuff. And it's got all these aftermarket lights and stickers and crud all over it. It just looks like an abomination. On one side, it's a two-door, four-door? One side, the driver's side door, it's got plus 504. And then on the other side, it says plus 514. Big, giant letters. And I don't know what that means, and I don't care. Doc says, gators at work? I didn't know the company provided breakfast. That is a Cajun sentiment. Doc says, you said these are tiny. Oh, yeah, they are tiny. These are tiny. Well, earlier, Doc, somebody said, what was it? You can keep it up and make it bigger? I don't know. I don't see any controls to change the size of these. I really don't. But I'm just type here. Whoops. What do I got here? Microscopic. Let's see if it puts it up there. Yeah, microscopic. Had to get in a new burn. The old one had a crack in it. Oh, dear. Those are too small for even usage. The Wolf said a car so fast it makes Bob Glidden jealous. Yes. Who is that guy? Gary, the dude with the land speed record, Gary Oldfield. I don't know what his name was. It doesn't matter. I'm not putting those up there. They're ridiculously small. They're ridiculously small. By the way, when I'm done with the topic, I will be pinning the link to StreamYard. Yeah, I'm going to be rolling screenless, as we say in the business. Let's talk about the freestyle disc. Look at this guy. Is he not having the most fun ever? That's a freestyler. Yeah. So those are usually smaller and lighter than other discs. They have a diameter of about 10 inches, and weigh around 5.5 ounces. But the size and the weight of them is based totally on the performer's needs. And so when you freestyle, you do all these moves, and there's a judge that says, man, that dude was getting so gnarly. It's so gnarly. Okay, so I'll bet you didn't know. And you may not have even wanted to know this, but I'm going to tell you. There are things in Frisbee sports called guts competitions. And they have them in northern Michigan, the Canadian Open Frisbee Championships in Toronto, Ontario, Vancouver Open Frisbee Championship, the Vancouver, British Columbia Octad. These are the earliest ones, by the way. These are the first ones. Guts competitions. The New Jersey American Flying Disc Open and the Rochester, New York World Frisbee Championships in Pasadena, California, too. The earliest Frisbee competitions that presented the Frisbee as a new disc sport. Before these tournaments, it was just a toy and stuff. Guts competitions are when you use the Frisbee like a dodgeball. You absolutely whip that thing at another person and try to beam them with the Frisbee disc. That's why it's called guts. Yeah. So there's one called Double Disc Court. And what that is a game like tennis, and you use 2 flying discs at a time and 2 teams of 2 players. So it's doubles. And there's 2 discs in play, and you try to keep the Frisbee from hitting the ground, basically. You know about the Frisbee disc dogs, and they compete in events, and it's judged in distance and choreographed and all that. We covered disc golf. We covered freestyle. There's one called Gultimate, and it's a half-court game. So you want to, it's like Ultimate Frisbee, but it's just smaller. It's in a half-court. Guts, oh boy. You basically stand in parallel lines facing each other. You don't get to move off the parallel line. And you just throw the discs at members of the opposing team. Yeah. There's a version of this called Can Jam. This is Can Jam here. And that's a patented game where you score points by throwing and deflecting the flying disc and hitting or entering the goal. The game ends when a team scores exactly 21 points or chogs the disc for an instant win. A chog is when you hit a disc and force another disc in. So basically that game starts and everyone's throwing to get it in the can. If you get it in the can, phrasing, then that's scoring a point. But you can also deflect your opponent's discs from going in. So the most widely played disc game began in the late 1960s, okay? You know what I'm talking about, the late 1960s? With Joel Silver and Jared Cass. Joel Silver, American film producer now, by the way. Joel Silver produces lots of movies. In the 70s, it was developed as an organized sport with the creation of the Ultimate Players Association by that great guy, Don Roddick, and a couple other dudes. The object of the game is to advance the disc and score points by eventually passing the disc to a team member in the opposing team's end zone. And you can't run while holding the disc. So you can run, grab it, and then you got to throw it from where you're standing. And it's a game a little bit like a combination of like ice hockey or soccer and football. It's really kind of like rugby, to be honest with you. And it can be very physical. I've played it before, and it's kind of rough. Some of those boys get kind of rough. They really do. But I have played it, and it's very good exercise. It's extremely good exercise. It's on a very large field, and, you know, it's The guys I played with at Ball State came, man, you should come back. You're awesome at this. And I'm like, yeah, none of you guys are in shape. I play for the soccer team. I could run all day and do this. Why don't you come back? Because it's a Frisbee. Why don't you just throw slinkies at each other? That, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have to tell you about the darn Frisbee. Did I use all my photos? Well, I don't think I showed you this guy. He's also having the most fun ever. Shoes are optional with Frisbee, I'd like to point out. You don't have to wear shoes if you don't want to. Let me get to the remainder of your comments, and then we're going to open up those phone lines. No, we're just going to pin the link in the room. Let's see here. Microscopic. Tim Jenkinson says, surely it would be just easier to stay standing and catch it. Well, surely. You mean than this? Yeah, surely it would. What are you, crazy? What are you doing? What are you doing? Surely it would be easier simply to, as this fellow is doing. Really. Doc says, now freestyle, your style, peanut butter jelly, pea. Oh, wrong freestyle. Yeah. Let me tell you something all about the Wild Wild West. It's a place that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. Anyway. Do Guts players wear headgear? Well, I think they wear headgear, but it's not from the sport. You know what I'm saying? Doc says, so it's called guts, but you don't have any if you lose. It just sounds like an internal injury or whelps. I get you get big welts from that probably. Ken says, guts sounds like a sport for Europeans. I would be notching the edges of my Frisbee, so I'd cut them. It could just abrasions. More so for obese Americans. Yeah, the obese Americans that dominate the Olympics every time they have it. Like cornhole, but with Frisbees. There's obese people everywhere, please. Frisbee rugby could work. You know what? We may actually have more obese people. We export all of our fast food places, so you can be obese too. Extreme slinkies would be entertaining for your... They would. Would you get tangled up in them and stuff? It'd be a thing. It would be a thing. Let me get this link posted into the room here, so that if anyone wants to join, they can. And then if they don't, we'll end this. I have a ton of work to do tonight that I don't really want to do. And then tomorrow, I get to go do a thing I don't want to do. This is going to be great. It really is. It's really just going to be the best of all possible worlds. By the way, the thing that I don't want to do tomorrow, if I get there and a thing happens that I asked a bunch of questions about to make sure that thing wouldn't happen, and I got a bunch of vague answers, which leads me to believe that it won't necessarily definitively happen, but that it could happen. If it does happen, I will get up and leave. And that will make me unpopular, and I don't care. And I will even say, I asked you specifically about this yesterday, and you gave me a bunch of sketchy answers. And the reason I asked you about it was because I figured that you would want to do this thing, which is a waste of my time. And if you had told me that yesterday, I would have said, I'm not doing this thing. Not going to happen. But you knew that I would veto the thing, so that's why you didn't tell me about the thing. And so therefore, I'm not going to reward that behavior. I'm sorry. I will not be rewarding that behavior. There's behavior that we reward, and then there's behavior that we do not reward, and I will not be rewarding that behavior. I'm sorry. And so, Excelsior. Tim Jenkinson says, I don't know if Florida is a good gauge, but I saw some huge people there. There are some huge people. There's some huge people everywhere. I'm not going to deny it. Thanks for the show, Gullmeister. Well, thank you, Ken, and thank you for being here. As always. Doc says, I'm standing by a payphone ready to call in. Well, those days have come and gone, Doctor. Nowadays, you have to click the link. It's a new time. I fought it all the way, but nowadays, Skype is no more. No longer. I know what you're thinking. Don't do it. Ground's gone sour. That was my legendary Fred Gwynn impersonation from Pet Sematary. Scene. All right. Anyway, the link is pinned. The link's all up in here, people. So if you'd like to, do that thing where you do the thing where the thing happens, then do that thing. And if you don't want to do that thing, fine. That's fine too. That's just fine too. Well, there's only so much more time left in this show. And tomorrow night, we will be doing the evil and talented Robert McNamara, who you'll all remember from movies in the 1930s. Let me put Robert McNamara up on the screen. Let me put old Bob McNamara. I've got so many pictures of Robert McNamara meeting with major heads of state and stuff. But here's our good friend Robert McNamara, who was involved with a lot of things which are evil back in the day. There he is, Robert McNamara. You can't be not evil and have a part in your hair like that. It's impossible. Look at that. It's that part in your hair there, that can't be made by a man. That cannot be made by a human. It's like certain parts of the pyramids. They get down to the measurements and look at the distance between the... No, couldn't have been done by humans. Same thing with the part in his hair. Very Illuminati. But we're going to talk about Robert McNamara tomorrow. And then on Thursday, the Bradford City Fire, which is... I'm telling you, the Bradford City Fire is very, very horrible. Extremely horrible. The Wolf says he is very suspicious. Isn't he, though? Everything that sort of clandestine went on in the world for about 40 or 50 years, he was skulking around when it happened. Although, to his credit, later on he'd go, yeah, that wasn't a real thing. We just did that to control the populace, subvert world order. Very casually. Probably you could hear the ice cubes clinking in his scotch glass. Yeah, that wasn't real. We just figured, why do they need their own country? Good old Robert McNamara. The Wolf says, I get the feeling people are headed to my place to spirit me away. Why would they do that, Wolf? And by the way, I think they're going to find some resistance if they do that thing. Ken says, let me tell you about MK Ultra. Yes, good old MK Ultra. The Tuskegee experiments. Wolf, nobody's going to spirit you away. Come on. Come on, who would spirit you away? That's just not cricket. Tim Jenkinson says, haven't had any stadium disasters for a long time. That's right. There was a spate of them there in the 80s, but it got better. Oh, dear me. Ladies and gentlemen, let's add to the stage our good friend, Doctorn. Doctorn, how you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm on Tom's show.
You're darn right you are, big fella. All day long.
Well, I figured I'd be the guinea pig for this, this new thing here, because no more Skype.
Well, the Wolf's been on it a few times. Of course, his computer doesn't work right. But that's not his fault. You need to get you a fancy, picture and put it in there and stuff.
I can't afford no fancy picture. I'm so broke I can't even pay attention.
What have you been up to, man?
Well, baby girl was down here for the past couple weeks.
Oh, well, I know what you've been up to then. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What you been up to? Yes. Yes. Tim Jenkinson, Hillsborough was grim as well. It was more grim. And we covered that one already, but ITV did a series on Bradford City because this is the 40th anniversary of the Bradford City fire, so we'll cover it. Anyway, so yes, you and baby girl, what have you guys been doing that you can say on the air?
Well, I did show her more of the city. Um, when she comes down again in September, we're going to another Saints game. Hopefully they win.
Cool.
Um,
Who are they playing?
and this for that game, oh, by Odin. The Eagles again.
Ooh. Is it preseason or is it regular season?
Um, I think that's going to be regular season.
Oh, that's going to be a tall order.
Oh, she ain't whistling Dixie.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck to you there. But is she thinking about moving to where you're at? Are you trying to get her to move down there so you don't have to go to Canada?
Oh no! It's going to be far. It's going to be far easier for me to move up there because there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a ton more paperwork for her
Okay.
to come down here.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, yeah, live it up. Bon temps roulé while you can, right?
Oh, I'm gonna let them good time roll.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, good. I'm glad. I knew there was bad weather and stuff, and I know sometimes when that happens, you get super busy. But this is even better. This is even better. You got to, you know, do things with
Oh,
the girl.
I treasure every moment we together.
Yes. Well, you have to. You have to because they make you.
Oh, y'all gonna love this. So I said, did I tell y'all about I'm gonna be a grandfather?
You did not. So you have a child that's having a child.
Yes, I do.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And Friday we find out what it's gonna be.
And you're Cajun, which means you're not even 30 yet, and you're a grandfather.
I know, right? Wait, no, I'm not even 40 yet.
Well, so like you find out Friday what it's gonna be a boy or girl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I've been bouncing all day.
you're not one of these people that has like these gender reveal parties, are you?
Nah, we're gonna it's basically gonna be a they have the picture of the ultrasound that shows what the gender is,
Yeah.
and it's basically gonna be a they're gonna open up the envelope, pull the picture out, and we're gonna be like, hey, oh,
And then you guys are gonna drink and eat po' boys for the rest of the night, right?
well, not just po' boys. We're also gonna have a nice gumbo.
Muffaletta,
We're talking.
muffaletta.
Oh, you know what? That might be a better idea. A good
Yeah.
muffalata.
Yeah. Now,
Definitely got to bring the wolf.
you gonna bring the wolf to New Orleans?
Yep, and show him what a muffalata is.
I think that could be scary. Yeah, I don't know if you want the wolf where there's a lot of partying and I mean, not for his sake, but for yours. He's legendary. But what is the drink of choice for a Cajun? What's the Cajun drink of choice?
Yes.
I mean, do you guys like wine? Do you like, vodka,
Yes.
whiskey?
Oh, daiquiri. Well, if you're gonna be like that, if you're gonna phrase it like that, it's definitely the daiquiri.
Okay. What do the guys out in the swamp drink?
Oh, they got a version of that shine.
Well, I got you. Yeah, I bet you they do. The wolf says, "No problem. Me and boys just roll out our John boats for them floods. We fish fresh waters." Yeah, the wolf. Oh God. Oh God.
Whoosh, yeah.
The wolf, and Big John, when they'd go to a bar, you could make like four people's house payments with their bar tab. That's amazing. But yeah, well, so she's back up in Canada now. Now, are you going up there before she comes down here again?
Probably. Um,
This would be the
there
time
there
to
is a
do
couple.
it. It's warm, kinda up there. We're
Oh
getting there.
yeah. My daughters, they used to when I was up there in the wintertime, they would bust my chops about uh oh look, American can't take the cold.
I gotcha. Well, they can't take the humidity of New Orleans, probably, nor the drinking. Uh-oh. We've got another special guest, if indeed any of his technology will work. Here's the wolf.
Wolf on deck.
Hello, Doc.
What's up, Wolf?
Mentioning those daiquiris, you might not want to try mine. That might be the last one you drink.
I will accept that challenge.
Now, what you need to do is have the wolf bring the guru to Nolans.
I
Oh,
could
I don't
bring
know,
something.
Tom.
I
I
think
could bring something better than that. I can bring you ice cream booze,
uh,
where it tastes like strawberry ice cream until you get through maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then you figure something else must be in there.
I don't know. I think the guru would take Mardi Gras by storm. The guru is like drinking a Mountain Dew with some fruit in it, and about halfway through the Mountain Dew, you realize you can't feel your face and you don't know what planet you're on.
That sounds like a night after going up chasing them daiquiri.
That's what my daiquiris and my margaritas are like.
Yeah. I don't do no drinking
Okay,
myself.
so Wolf, we gotta if I can manage to get you down here, we gotta have a drink for Tom.
Well, you should say over there because you're about even with me. It's almost a straight line on the 8 over that way.
Hmm.
You didn't realize that?
No, I did not. I don't actually know where you is.
Southern California.
Oh well, shoot, that's a day's drive right there.
Well, now that depends on how fast you're driving.
Yeah, the wolf could get there in much less than a day by the speed. However, occasionally the navigation is the problem.
It might take. That's right. I forgot. It could take me to make a 6-hour drive. It could take me three days or so.
Well, I was saying a day's drive because I might like to stop and see some of them touristy sites.
What was the
Oh
one?
yeah.
What was the one where you were going to Bloomington or going home from Bloomington and you wound up in Cleveland or something?
Oh yeah. I think that's the 44 that goes from Bloomington to Ohio. Anyway, I've got on it going the
That's
wrong way.
46.
Well, 40 something. I got on it going the wrong way and thought, because I'm basically blind, So, so generally, I have to get out and look at the sign, and then get back in the car and then do whatever I got to do. So I
So
thought I was going the right way, and I ended up going. Realized that I was at the border check for Ohio, and I thought, well, I'm here. I might as well go ahead. So
well,
I
yeah,
ended up at the stadium in Cincinnati and checked out the town. Had a nice little drink at the bar down from the stadium, and got back in the car and drove back. So it was probably a 2.5 hour drive. It took me 13 hours.
yeah. He was trying to head west instead, because you know where the sun is won't tell you which way you're going. Anyway.
Why do you think Dobe calls me the Great Adventurer?
Well, that's the reason why.
The
You know,
unintentional adventurer.
yeah. If you go to see Doc, just keep the ocean on the right hand side, and you'll make it. Well, you got Mexico on the right hand side for part of that thing, but anyway.
Yeah. So when you see the Welcome to Mexico signs, uh, or Mexico ahead, make a right.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys big Frisbee fans? Have you been ever into the Frisbee?
Last
I've been
time I did
waiting on him
anything
to
with a
do.
Frisbee,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Wolf.
I was gonna say I've been waiting for him to do like Frisbee ballet and uh, modern Frisbee dance,
Uh-huh.
and nobody's done it. They use it like a disc to spin with, and skates and ballet to train, but they don't do anything with it after that.
You want to see the Frisbee incorporated into rhythmic gymnastics, like the ball and the stick with the ribbon on it, which I still don't understand to this day.
Wait, I think they
It'd
got
be
something like that with the hula hoop.
it'd be like watching
Yeah.
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, they do the hula hoop too, I think, in rhythmic gymnastics.
The coolest thing I've seen in a long time was watching rappel ballet done from the Space Needle in Seattle.
Is that the one where they do it from the ropes?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I only watch that because I want to see one of the cables snap.
Oh, now that's the
Uh,
the
I,
angry giant is back.
I watched something like that, but I was hoping something else would slip out.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be in shape to do that, though, that rappel thing. You really got to be in shape. I just don't know. I don't know who over in Europe one day said, well, she is a good gymnast, but, I think she could use a stick with a ribbon nailed to it. That would make it so much better. I don't understand that. So what's your Frisbee experience, Doc? You a big Frisbee guy?
My Frisbee experience lately has been throwing used saw blades into a dumpster.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fun. That could
Hey,
be
that sounds like a good sport, throwing saw blades at each other.
yeah, and when you consider how pickleball started, that could just wind up being a sport.
That's right.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time to me. So you guys, this is the new world. There's no more phone calls. It's all just click the link.
Yeah, I had to when I clicked the link and all that, it had my camera open and everything, and I was like, "Ugh, who's that ugly person?" Then I realized it was me.
Yeah. Let me see if I have the power to. I don't. I can edit your name and I can edit your mic, settings, but I can't give you a picture. But that's okay. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching. This show is just really not very popular. Nobody likes it.
But that's what makes it the best.
Exactly.
Yes, I will do shows on topics guaranteed to get no views.
A show
Absolutely.
so well and so well liked and so brilliant that nobody can watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still liking that episode about haggis.
That was a fine episode. It really was. But, you know, you're Cajun. Haggis is just boudin with different ingredients in it.
Exactly. See what I mean?
Yeah. I just had boudin last week. Yeah, last week. Had to buy it in the store out of a package, so it wasn't great boudin, but it was better than no boudin.
Ah, you got that import.
Yeah.
Still sounds like you're saying booty.
It takes a long time to learn how to say it. I had a guy in Lafayette, Louisiana, had to sit me down for about an hour and a half, and I had to
He
repeat.
said that we got to get rid of that northern accent you got. No good profit bagger.
It's boudin? Boudin? No, boudin. Yeah.
Booty. Booty? No.
No, it's not booty.
No, no, Wolf. That's the other white meat.
Yeah, yeah. He started off by making me say Jake Delhomme, but you know, after and Bobby Hebert took me. No, it's Herbert. It's Herbert. No, it's Hebert. Then finally he got me to pronounce it properly. But yep, I had some. It was okay. It was, you know, just good enough. Playoffs. Yeah. Well, he started off down there, and then we got him. And then we were lucky enough to get old Jim Mora.
I thought he went to Michigan next. Wasn't it the Michigan Panthers next and then there?
I thought he
Or
went.
was it Philly?
Let's find out, shall we?
Was it Philly he went to? I can't remember. Philadelphia Stars?
Who knows? Let's see here. No, he was at the Philadelphia Stars before he went to New Orleans.
I knew it was in there somewhere.
And then he went to New Orleans for 10 years, 86 to 96. And then he came to Indy from 98 to 2001. And so that's what he did.
Then UCLA, wasn't he UCLA's coach for a while?
No. Well, he was at UCLA, but that was way before any of that other. It was in 1974. But, you know, he is the first guy that had the Saints do anything. I mean, anything. The Saints before him, nothing ever. And he had them like first in, you know, playoffs and everything else. Playoffs? You got, you know, before that, they were the Aints, and they never did anything.
Yeah,
I remember them days.
Yeah, but he got there in 86. He went 7-9, which probably they were thrilled with in New Orleans. And then the next year, they were 12-3. And he had some really good teams. In 92, they were 12-4. He won, you know, he did a nice job there. And he got him into the playoffs, and he won two USFL championships. You know, the last two, I think he won both of those. So I thought he was a good coach, and he did get the Saints made the playoffs like 4 times in 6 years, which is like crazy amount of success for them at the time.
They still talk
Yeah, Jim Mora, playoffs? But that was when he was at Indianapolis. They were talking about that. And they didn't win any games after he said that, I think. Playoffs? I'm just worried about winning another game. Playoffs? Are you kidding me? Playoffs? You know, don't talk about, you kidding me? Playoffs? You know. So, anyway. Tim Bragg, reporter for WRTV, asked the question. I knew that guy. And so they play that all the time. And he says that when he goes to autograph signings that everybody wants him to sign playoffs with a question mark to this day.
Yeah, I watched him on a YouTube interview where he was talking about that, how they screw with him.
I think he did. Didn't he? Didn't he do like a Doritos commercial or something? He
did a commercial for somebody, and I can't remember who it was.
Because everybody, it was like a food or something, and everybody was getting together to watch the playoffs. And it's like, all right, everybody, this is going to be great. There's playoffs. We got plenty of Bud Light and blah, 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 whatever. And he just walks in and goes, playoffs?
Yeah.
Playoffs? You're watching the playoffs? Are you kidding me? Anyway, yeah, he's a good guy. Ron Meyer was a good guy too before him, but whatever. Anyway, so Doc, I'm glad you're glad you got to
Ron
spend.
Meyer that got SMU banned for black. What was it? Black labeled or blacklisted?
No,
or
it
something?
was the death penalty they called it.
Yeah. Well, I knew it had something to do with black.
Yeah, the death penalty. Yeah, it's like, how come all of our players are driving $40,000 cars? Well, I don't know. It's just a normal thing for college students.
Not doing anything anybody else isn't doing.
Yeah, exactly. Doc,
yeah, they're at least trying to hide it a little bit.
No, they didn't hide it there. They'd be like, hey, Eric Dickerson.
Checks for guys.
Eric Dickerson, you left this stack of $10,000 bills on the locker bench. Doc, I'm so glad that you got to spend some time with your lady, though. That's awesome. Well, I was worried about you. I thought, did he get hit by a girder or a tornado or something while he was doing his work? Is he okay? Did I say something and make him mad? Is he, So I'm glad you got to do love things.
Come on now. He and the boys was just out fishing for trash fish. Give you a quarter for that fish, boy.
A quarter? I prefer a 5-finger discount.
Yeah. Cajuns, man, they'll cook a cardboard box and make it taste good.
Well, you got to get that mud vein out of there. That's the problem, that mud vein.
Yeah, the mud vein.
I know, right? Always the mud vein.
Yeah, why? Watch out for that mud vein.
I remember my mom. I had caught this big giant carp, and I thought, I'm the greatest fisherman ever. I was about 10 years old, and she sat me down and said, no, now they're fun to catch because they're tremendous fighters and blah, 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 but we don't really want to eat them. They've got a mud vein in them. And I'm like, what's that? And then she showed me. She actually filleted it right in front of me and went, see this? Yeah, it's probably something you don't want in your food. And then she said, now, you can prepare this if you know what you're doing and you take it out and everything else. But you caught so many other wonderful fish, starfish, sunfish, bass, whatever it was. She's like, we don't need to eat this.
We'll just throw that one in the trash.
Yeah, we don't need this one.
We don't need no stinking
See,
carp.
you didn't have an old perv guy perusing the banks going, give you a quarter for that fish, boy.
Well, that, and look, if we want mud in our food, we know how to do that on our own. We don't need the fish to do it for us.
We don't need any giant goldfish.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah.
And that
Well,
doggone
I mean, you
giant
could take that,
goldfish is
use
worth
it.
hundreds in Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you
Hey,
can always
Billy,
take
we
that
could
carp
catch
up
us some
and
carp.
use it for
Let's
bait.
catch us some carp. Take it to Japan and sell it.
I mean, it's bad enough that people, because catfish have a mud vein too, but it's just the meat.
Oh, don't get me started on cakefish.
It's just that the catfish actual meat tastes so much better, and the mud vein isn't as pronounced as it is with a carp. But and a carp is a true bottom feeder. It's not. The mud is just not as good in a carp.
Son, why do you think we call them trash fish?
I remember we were out at Raccoon Lake. You know where that's at, Wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out there, and my grandfather was a great fisherman, and we went out there early one morning, and we caught, in just a couple of hours, we caught like 51 little sunfish and crappie and all these, and we got back, and it hadn't even gotten light yet because we went out so early, and it was, well, now it's time to fillet them all. And I learned I learned how to fillet fish that day because I got so many chances. He had one of those fillet knives that had the scaler, like brass knuckles on it. You put your hand through it, scaled it with that thing, and then you use the knife end to cut them open and cut this. Yeah.
Yeah, come here, son. I'm going to show you how to get that mud vein out of there.
Hey, Doc, do you do a lot of actual cooking, Cajun cooking? And if so, how'd you learn?
Well, Cajuns, we're born with this innate that internal ability to cook. We don't really follow no recipe. It's you just go and you hear the ancestors in your ear guiding you.
I gotcha. So a lot of Zatarans.
Yeah, yeah. Some people start off with that. Uh, it's not a Cajun house if you ain't got Tony's, Snack Your Mama,
Tony
and
Chachers or whatever is, right?
Stasheries. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but yeah,
I have that in the kitchen. I was told that's the one that you got to have. Don't use anything else.
well, I mean, you also gotta have the Holy Trinity too.
What's that? Well, but no, don't tell me. I know this is. It's cayenne, black pepper, white pepper, right?
Your onions, your bell pepper, and your
Oh,
green
okay.
onion.
I gotcha.
No,
I'm
that was
I,
a different Trinity you thinking of.
yeah, I'm using the spice trinity. There's also another one that I get sometimes just to have it extra is Ballner's Fiesta. Ballner's Fiesta brand Cajun spice. But mostly it's Tony's. Yeah, I always have had that ever since. Ever since my years amongst the Cajun people. I was told that's what you
Oh,
gotta have.
oh yeah, gotta have the Tonys, and if you're gonna get the hot sauce, you gotta get that Tabasco.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of
Oh
people like.
yeah.
I prefer the Frank's Red Hot, but they're really two different things. They're not the same. Not the same thing. But I don't use Tabasco too much. It gives me the devil's blood. That indigestion that just burns. Give me the devil's blood. You never heard that?
I ain't never heard it put like that. No.
Yeah. You wake up in the middle of the night and you just got that. You can't sleep or it just hurts and you're just it's because of devil's blood. You just got to take
Yep.
like half a bottle of Zantac to get rid of it.
Half a
But
gallon of milk.
Yeah, no, God, yeah, it's awful stuff. Wolf, you learned to cook from one of your elderly lady relatives, didn't you? That was she was the head cook somewhere, or been a chef somewhere or something.
My grandmother was a
Yeah,
pastry chef and cooked for all the richest people in town.
yeah.
The president of DePaul and a bunch of other people.
What was her signature dish?
Well, she had a barbecue place that my mom said I have like the outside of the menu part left, but she had a barbecue place that my mom said the people that ate there would ask for a doggy bag for the bones so that they could take them home and suck on them.
Wow, so barbecue. Wow.
Her barbecue sauce had 13 things in it, and my mom could never figure out what any of them were, and she made the worst barbecue sauce. Though everybody else thought it was good, I thought it was awful. It was watery, and anyway.
Well, Tim Jenkinson says the president of Nepal. That's random. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Apparently he thought DePaul was Nepal.
I gotcha. The president of Nepal. That's actually funny. I thought he was talking about Tony Chacher's. Tim Jackson's like, oh, okay, yeah. The president.
So,
she cooked for the president of Nepal, and I thought he was talking about the spice Tony Chacher's. Because I was wondering why the president of Nepal would be visiting. Oh God. Yeah, well, the wolf gets around, and Depaw. Well, I better put that in the thing.
your favorite place to play soccer at?
Was it always university or was it college for a long time?
I think it was DePaul College in the beginning, like Wabash. And all those.
Yeah. Greencastle, Indiana. Yeah, a great place to play soccer if you like pipe bombs going off while you're playing. Tim Jenkins.
Oh, so y'all had fireworks?
Yeah, fireworks. Trying to attract tourists to Mount Everest. I tell you, the one side or the other. That was the place. Also, first of all, that dumb field had that one end with the big giant hill.
Hey, be quiet now. That was my grandfather's. That was his dad's farm at the end of that hill.
Well, but it was like right behind one of the goals. If you ran 5 yards, was almost like this big giant wall that went up 40 feet or whatever it was. And okay, fine, whatever. You had to walk down into this field. But one of the things that I didn't appreciate was we get there and the referee for the game is like 16 years old for a college soccer match. And we start playing, and immediately in the first 5 minutes, 2 of our players get red carded for what I would consider to be like not even yellow card infractions. It was like, what is going on here? And then after the game, which we narrowly lost 4-3 over these wonders, after the game, the referee goes over to the opposing coach and hugs him, or there's an assistant coach, and hugs him. And I'm like shaking hands with some of the other guys there, and it's like, okay, man, I'll see you at Mom's. And I just turned to the ref and I go, you guys know each other? You're related? And the 16-year-old, because I was putting a lot of pressure on him and he was 16, because the other guy was going, don't say anything, don't say anything. And he goes, yeah, he's my brother. Oh, you refereed your brother's soccer team's match and magically, are you even a ref? Do you even have a? No, no, I've got a card. But yeah, are you qualified to coach ref Division One soccer? And so we had a home and away with them. So with 9 guys at their place, we lose 4-3. They forgot that they would have to come back to our place in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. And we got a real referee and beat them 11-0. And we're not nice about it.
Now,
Oh, I
Tom,
wouldn't be nice about it either.
you're missing the best part of DePaul's Blackstock Stadium. They ran the Underground Railroad through there, through my grandfather's farm at the end of that hill, and then also your good buddy, the bank robber, hung out in the caves there.
Well, as far as the first thing you said, no, I myself got railroaded there. So I knew about that. And they had these stupid changing rooms. The locker rooms were up on, way past up on top of this hill.
Yeah, underneath the stadium.
And you went in there, and no, this one was a separate thing. Maybe that was a bathroom or something.
That was a bathroom.
Yeah,
the locker rooms were underneath the stadium.
Yeah, I do remember that, and they were not fancy. They were kind of like smelled bad, and
big open doors that were never closed.
Yeah, we went in, took one whiff of that place, and just went back out and changed in the vehicle. It was like, forget it. This isn't even worth it. This is a fancy place. What is that? So yeah, I got. Tim Jenkinson says, with all the hills, now I understand why the president of Nepal was attracted to the place. Yeah, but I'll never forget that because they had this goalkeeper that was a big, fat, burly bear guy that was super hot out, but he was wearing sweatpants. I always hated goalkeepers that wore sweatpants and a big, giant, like oversized rugby shirt, and he was just porky, and he had curly, long hair, and I remember we're walking off the field, and we made the drive, and everything else, and I remember walking off the field, and we shook hands, and I was salty the whole game, and I scored 2 or 3 goals. I can't remember how many, but during our furious comeback. See, because at first they were scoring us like crazy because everybody was fresh-legged and they had 2 more guys than us. But then as the day went on, we were in much better shape and they started getting all tired and stuff. So we started coming back. And I remember telling all of these guys, hey, we'll see you at our place. We'll see you at our place. So we got up 11-0 and there was still 10, 15 minutes left in the game. And we kind of all had this plan at halftime. Look, with about 10 or 15 minutes, just start hurting them. Just start fouling them. When they kick the ball, just from behind, and the ref's looking the other way, just anything you can do. Give them a little something to take back home to Greencastle. So after the game was over, we just beat them, and then we beat them up. And they were like, hey, you guys want to hang out or anything? No.
Well, now you missed the real draw of DePaul University. If you'd have made a mistake and gone to Bowman Gym to change, you would have found the real reason that people like DePaul, and that's the swim team.
The girls on the swim team, yeah.
Oh, boy. You know what our gymnasts look like? Well, that was a little bit better than that. That was the DePaul swim team.
One of my teammates in high school actually was playing for DePaul. And after the game, he came over to me and, man, I'm really sorry. That was really bush. I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, you're not sorry enough that you said something about it. After the first red card, you should have been.
What a friend. He could have taken you to Bowman, and you just go in and go through the weight room, and the pool is right there. You could go in and Talk to
Wolf,
the
I don't know if you're maybe overlooking something. We weren't really looking to, have a cultural exchange with DePaul University after being.
No, well, you know me. I was always looking to have a cultural exchange with either the swim team, the gymnastics team, or the cheerleaders, or something like
Yeah,
that.
you grew up there. When you drive in and get cheated and then, have to change in the bathrooms at the top of the field because the locker rooms smell like, ass.
Well, I pretty much did that anywhere that I went and played whatever sport it was.
Yeah, we
I was always on the lookout.
Greencastle, Indiana, not exactly
Southmont,
Chicago,
Crawfordsville.
or Paris, France. We were just wanting to go back to Muncie and enjoy the many fruits.
And old boy John Dillinger sure liked him caves back there on the railroad tracks, I tell you that.
Oh yeah, I bet you he was pleased to be there too.
Hey, he was there for a couple of weeks after robbing the first national in our town.
I'm quite certain he would have rather been somewhere else than in a cave with his ill-gotten gains. Anyway, all right, fellas, I better get out of here. But I am glad that you used the link.
Oh, I had to try it out.
We don't make that mistake again.
Yes. Yes, and I did get to visit they should have had a sign over here, Underground Railroad, with the black.
No, they should have had a
background.
sign for the swim team.
And the gold letters, historical marker, Underground Railroad. And then on the other side, they would have had this visiting team railroad. And then a picture of the 16-year-old referee. That would have been great.
That sign that said "This way to the swim team."
I'm sure they were wonderful.
But trust me, they were on my scale. They were close to the top. That's why I dated one of them.
All right. Well,
Only one of them, Wolf?
yeah.
Well, give me a break. I was 14, so
He was only 12 years old.
I was 14. She was 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have gone for broke.
Well, she ended up leaving and going to France and never came back. So there you go.
What's that tell you?
Well, see, I'm
she ended up leaving and going to France and never coming back. That's what it told me.
She preferred those Frenchies.
Oh, she would have loved me then, being Cajun French like that.
Oh yeah.
And one thing about us is we love to eat.
Well, you're not snooty enough, though.
Yeah, and you strike me as the type that when a war breaks out, you don't just immediately surrender.
You don't surrender. You don't throw your waist out the window into the streets.
Well, I mean,
you
that's
don't have those redeeming qualities.
No, the Cajuns, there is no waste. They use everything. They use it all.
Except that mud vein.
Except the mud vein, yeah. It's not exactly etouffee. Hey, well, you would like some of my mud etouffee? It's delicious. Anyway, all right. All right, fellas. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. And tomorrow night, Robert McNamara. Thursday night, the Bradford City Fire. Friday night, well, what do I got here on my list that I could do something about Friday night? That is because nobody's going to watch it. I guess I could do the Viewmaster. Nobody.
Well, people are going to be so traumatized after watching that suspicious, evil, psychotic, buttered toast hair, beady-eyed maniac.
Oh, I was about to say, wait, why is Wolf describing me?
He's describing Robert McNamara, which you can see on the screen.
Doc,
now.
are you saying that you're a schemer?
Well, no, you started off with the psychotic evil and all that. I was like, Why is Wolf describing me?
Yeah.
Well, I could be describing any of us with that.
Indy
Psychotic.
I could do a show Friday about the Indianapolis 500, but that'd be a long show. But
How
because
about that
You said-
Schwartzman being on pole? How about that?
I haven't paid any attention to it at all. I just haven't paid any attention. I should, but I haven't.
Good
How about a
Lord,
part
and you're
two
from
to the
Indiana.
urethra
How could you act like that coming from Indy? How
Because
dare you?
because on Saturday I'll watch the race and they'll only have 3 hours of pre-race stuff. You know.
Yeah, I started when the race starts. I don't watch any of that other garbage.
Oh, I gotta watch the Back Home Again in Indiana.
I don't watch the pre-race pageantry anymore.
You don't like the pageantry?
Not anymore.
I love pageantry.
The day before, the day before, the day before, the day of. No more of that kind of pageantry anymore.
Yes, Carburation Day. Well, first Jim Neighbors left, and then Florence Henderson left, so it's not the same. And now they got that dumb guy from the Chicago Blackhawks that's just, and it's just get rid of him. Get rid of him now. And every year they have a different person singing the national anthem, and it's always, well, this guy was third and from American Idol, and he was from Bloomington, and he, it's just. Just stop it. Just stop it. Just get some legit people in there and keep them in
This is
there.
something that's very perv. Penske's team got 2 cars pulled to the back for not being up to the codes.
Well, they'll probably win the race because they'll be faster than anybody. Doesn't
The
he?
owner of the track.
Yes, I'm about to say
got put to the back.
he owns the track now, and just
He owns the series.
he
not
owns the
just
whole
track.
lock, stock, and barrel. Yeah.
He's always found ways of getting around stuff or trying to.
Sure he has. Who's Letterman got driving for him this year?
Oh, man.
I don't even know what his team is called anymore.
Lanigan. Ray Hall Lanigan, Letterman.
Okay.
That's who John T's dad used to work for. He's so old now they relegated him to working at Andretti International's International Racing's shop. He doesn't even go to races anymore, I don't think.
Let me see here. I'll find out who his drivers are. Hey, Letterman's won the whole thing. I mean, his team a number of times. Let's see here. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing's drivers for the 2025 Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in racing, are Graham Rahal. Gee, who'd have thought? Devlin DeFrancesco and Lewis Foster.
Horrible. Ray Hall, I think, won a race. Was it 3 races ago or something he won?
I think he did. Let's see here. That team has got 30 wins, 37 poles, 112 podiums, and the 1992 Series Championship. But let me see let's see if I can figure out how many Indy 500 they have. Man, let me see here. Does it tell? No, it's not going to tell me. What a bunch of hooey. It's not going to tell me. It's going to take a half an hour to load the page. Let's see here.
Well, that's just rude.
Yeah. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan. Okay, let's see here. David Letterman, how many Indy 500 wins as owner? Owner. Here
Did
we
he
go.
start out with Chip? and then switched to Ray Hall?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can find that out in a second.
I thought initially he was with Chip.
He's won it twice. He won it in 2004 with Buddy Rice and 2020 with Takuma Sato. He won it with Takuma Sato.
Yeah, he's had the third fastest, I think.
Takuma Sato. You must always enjoy the Takuma Sato. I would like
He's 44 now, and he's still driving.
I would like the edamame, and I would like the sweet sour soup, and I would like a very large order of the Takuma Sato.
With extra wasabi.
I want the Takuma Sato. Let's see. I'm trying to find. He's got a whole bunch of. Letterman owns a whole bunch of cars. Where's the nomination? Why doesn't it tell me about his racing? Let's see here. Why isn't it telling me that? He owns an auto racing team. He was with Newman. That's who he started off with, I think.
Newman Haas?
Yeah.
Crap, I don't even remember that. I should have known that if he was with them. I thought it was Chip Ganassi.
Maybe not. Maybe Newman just got him into it. Let's see here.
Well, Paul got a bunch of people involved in it. So,
or maybe
that's why Mario came over.
Maybe he was an owner with Newman in a smaller series or something. But he became part owner of Bobby Rahaal's team, then known as Rahal Hogan, in 1996. Then it became Rahal Letterman in 2004, and then Lanigan joined. So, they were investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation for unspecified reasons in 2024. It's still ongoing. I don't know what you could do to tick those
Sounds
people.
Very suspicious.
To tick those people off.
Maybe they're smugglers. Oh, there was a guy that just got nailed for smuggling drugs.
Tim Jenkins says, have a good night. It was a great show. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Anyway. All right, fellas. Time to call it. But thank you both so much for being here. And
I'm calling it. I'm calling it, Fred.
We'll see you guys later.
Adios.
Take it easy, Wolf. Take it easy, Doc. Thank you so much. Good to see you again.
This was fun, Tom.
Awesome. Oh, there you go. The Wolf and the legendary Doc Torn, the show's official Cajun. And apparently, I didn't see all the sights at DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana. I know what I did see. 16-year-old reffing a college soccer match. All right, so with all that being said, I'm looking at the clock on the wall, and it says, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to leave, but you can't go home. Tomorrow night, we have Robert McNamara. Thursday night, the Bradford City Fire, and Friday night, I don't have a clue. And that means the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
Talking about